Hello! So in my last tarot themed video, we spoke about the Fool card. If you're interested in hearing me talk about that and its meaning and everything that I personally feel about the card and relate to the card with, then I will put a link up here somewhere. And basically I've got a whole playlist on YouTube titled spiritual videos or something like that. You can have a little look on there where I talk about these kind of topics. But in that full video, I received a comment from Julie Smith. If you're watching, hi Julie. I heard your call. I would love it if you guys could add to what I say in the comment section below. Maybe even before you've heard what I say, it would be really valuable to hear what you already think about the Chariot card. What do you associate it to? How do you read it? Everybody reads tarot slightly different, can I just say as well? So welcome in anybody's different perspective. They're going to associate the meanings a little bit different to you, and that is absolutely fine. That actually makes a tarot reader a better tarot reader, because they're not just going by the textbook, they're going by personal experience. And learning tarot card meanings is a lifelong journey, a process. You don't stop learning them until you're dead, because your life and how you live it works alongside the definitions of each card, because you're constantly going through new experiences that bring you closer to certain cards at different parts of your life. My first tip, as always, when you're trying to learn a new card, is to take every deck you have and find the card that you're learning in each deck and line them up to compare them to each other. So I've got a few here to kind of show you how effective that can be. These are all my Chariot cards here. And as you can tell, there are some differences, but there are also a lot of similarities. I've got a bit of mascara on my finger there, sorry. And I think in picking up on those similarities, it can really help you realize that everything is done for a reason, and everything is significant, and everything is a message, and everything is trying to communicate to you. All these signs, all these symbols, let them talk to you intuitively. Different signs and symbols and colors and feelings will be thrown at your face when you're reading for yourself or someone else. So first things first, obviously the most prominent thing on this card is the vehicle. There is some sort of transportation happening for this person. They are sat in a box, on a car, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't even matter what the vehicle is, so don't get overwhelmed by the fact he's sitting in this weird thing. Like, I remember when I first saw this card, I didn't even know what that was. I was like, what is he sitting in? I didn't even know he was moving. I looked at the word Chariot and I was like, what even is that? Like, this card does for me feel very out of touch, because it feels quite old-fashioned and dated. Obviously you can get cards that are more modernized now, which make it very easy to understand, such as the Modern Witch Tarot deck. I've done a whole review on this deck, but on this card she's got a motorbike. It's easier to understand. I like that kind of relevance of the word drive, meaning in a car, but also having drive. Having willpower, having that ability to push forward and push through, but not necessarily anything easy. The Chariot is usually a card that comes up when your external environment and your external forces could be working against you or could be contradicting each other. Like, there might be different elements going on in your life that are like contradicting, you know, where it's just like, I don't know how to make ends meet. I don't know how to combine these things together to make them work. But you've got to remember, this is the Chariot card and not the Temperance card. For example, the Temperance is a card about blending elements together to make things work in your favor, combining two parts of your life that could perhaps contradict, but having the balls to try something new, like a scientist or something. This also isn't the Two of Pentacles, where he's like juggling two things. This is the Chariot. It's not combining the two, it's just friggin' stomping them down, using your car tires to flatten them and conquer through, using nothing but your drive, your willpower. This person has no reins in their hands. They aren't holding on to anything. In fact, all of these cards I have, they all highlight some form of ability to not have an excessive amount of control. you know, she's got one hand on the bike, one hand on the wand, which wands always represent, you know, will, the last element that's needed to make something manifest, which is yourself, your power, your action. Even the chariot on this one is on a skateboard, and like they've got no protection on them, you know, one little slip and they will be grazed and injured. They're like hanging on the end of that skateboard, like two hands in the air, but they're managing to make it look easy and make it look controlled, even though there's so much of that which you could potentially say isn't. So there are reins on this card. She is holding on to reins on this card, but she does also have one hand in the air. Good balance between control and no control. It's a balance of head and heart. It's not overdoing it. This card's really sweet and really funny. It really embodies that idea, because he literally has his knee on the seat rather than his bum. He's got one leg up in the air and he's just like, woo! When this card comes up for a particular situation, whether it's in the past, present, or future, it is talking about an environment that isn't smooth sailing, but your personality is winning. The way you are structured at this time, your personality, your build up, like how your kind of energy is feeling at this moment is very ambitious and brave and bold. There's a lot of confidence with the Chariot card. If you receive it as advice, it's asking you to be all of those things. It's asking you to be okay with accepting the stuff that you can control, but also on the other hand, the one that isn't holding on to the transport, that represents the stuff that we can't have grip of. It's the kind of inevitable, or it's the stuff that we're not able to change. It's the stuff that we have to sort of come to terms with or accept or realize that this is the way it is, but I have to be fine with both in order to get a good aim between the two and move forward regardless. That is also what the black and white sphinxes at the bottom of the card represent, light and dark of a situation, and it's quite similar to the High Priestess card. She sits in front of those black and white pillars. I always see those pillars and these winged horses, whatever you want to call them, very similar, because they both talk about being at peace with the things that we know, the things that we don't, the things that we can control, and the things that we can't. None of these people have a lot of stuff on them. They don't hold a lot of stuff, particularly this one. This one barely has any clothes. This guy, he clearly has nothing to take with him on this journey. They have little on them because they need to get somewhere. The process of reaching a particular destination can be done with what you have and your power of will. This is all about finding that like spark in your gut, that fire in your belly that you're gonna need to get to a certain point in your life that you really want to. And the reason why this card is represented as the Cancer star sign is because of that duality balance between the head and the heart. The crab, which is Cancer's animal, has a hard outer shell and a soft and gooey inner center. Like, it's not that this person's confident and cocky and horrible and like they don't have like emotions, and you know, this is just having like a fierce outer shell and like a strong kind of exterior, and using that as like a form of armor. So if you're reading for yourself or somebody else and you receive the Chariot card, here's another deck. Something is worth reaching anyway, regardless of the fact that they are aware there are obstacles coming. Like, why would someone muster up all of that energy for something that isn't that important to them? Do you know what I'm saying? And once again, the idea of having no reins in a lot of the cards, or even just having one hand on the transport and one hand not, it supports that theory of the Chariot being about reaching somewhere through the power of will, the power of your mind, being able to do what you want to do because you simply believe you can, you know. It's the power of the mind with this card. It's actually less about action. I would say there's more cards that are associated to physical action that get you to a certain destination, such as the Seven of Wands. But with this, I actually feel like it's quite similar to the Strength card. It's knowing that what's going to get you there is reaching like a good mental state that allows you to conquer. There's always a destination with this card, an end goal that is really important to that person. There's something that they're trying to reach. There's a place, an energy, an ideal situation, and in any category you're reading, whether it's career, love, friendship, family, finance, whatever it is, they have a reason to fight for an ideal. It's usually a very good card to get, by the way. Like, if you are to receive a Chariot card in a reading, it doesn't mean that there's going to be loads of obstacles, full stop. It means that you're in a good place right now to get what you really want, because your personality and your energy beats what's happening, what is trying to push against you. It usually does mean, if you're reading it as an outcome card for career, love, family, friends, anything, that there's good things happening because of you, because of what you put in, the energy you put in. You're going to reach the place that you want, and that could very well be literal, by the way. I often see certain cards as more literal than others, even though every single tarot card in the deck can be more literal than we think. For example, the Star card, a celebrity, a star, like someone of like celebrity status. Or the Strength card once came up for me for someone who wanted to get into a career within zoology. It has a lion on the front. Like, it wasn't about finding the courage to do that. It was representing animals themselves. I also received that card when someone wanted to know whether they would ever get into the animal care industry. You could not get a better card. Like, sometimes it's better to get a card that's more appropriate to your topic like that than a card that would typically just mean yes for anything in general that you could ask. For example, the Ace of Swords is usually a very big yes card. It's a typical yes card. It's a good card to get if you're asking for a yes or no answer. But with a question like, will I ever get into animal care? I would much rather see the Strength card to represent a yes than an Ace of Swords, because it just feels more relevant, it feels more appropriate, and it's more of a confirmation for me. It could be a very literal card as well, so often it can mean you getting a car. You know, if you're about to buy a new car and you get haunted by the Chariot, it could be representing that. It could be representing you going on a physical journey, a bit like the Six of Swords, though often that does mean more of an emotional journey. So getting from rough seas to smoother seas, it can actually be someone moving. I used to get that card a lot when I was reading for my friend who was moving to London from her hometown. So it's a good card to receive when someone might ask, like, will I receive that new bike I want? Like, I'm saving for a bike, will I get it? Or will I move house soon? This is a good card to get because it's like physically going somewhere. But I just think the bottom line of it is realizing that it's moving from familiarity to the unknown, something that this person wants, as they wouldn't have been charging there in the first place. Notice how he's facing you. He's like head on, he's looking right at you, intrusive. It's like, whoa, like, okay, if you don't stand out the way, he's gonna literally charge you down and step on you. Which again kind of links to my tip of stepping into a tarot card in your brain to help you understand it. If you step into this card, what would he say to you? What would be happening? I mean, if we stepped into this card, he'd be like, get out my way, I'm about to friggin' run you over. Like, I've got places to go, things to do. Like, he hasn't got time to stop and chat. He's on a mission. He's a man on a mission. Another tip that I mentioned in my Tarot Reading 101 video, once again, I'll link that somewhere down there, is to line up all of your cards in order. This is a really useful tip. So when you put them in order, they tell a story. So when you're trying to learn a particular card, it's important to take the one that's before it and the one that's after it, and then look at them as if you're reading a kid's storybook or something. And in this case, the card that comes before the Chariot is the Lovers card, and the card that comes after the Chariot is the Justice card. So the Lovers card is about a decision. It's about some sort of choice we've got to make that is best for our highest good, that is good for our soul, that's good for like our purpose, a really important decision associated to everything that we love and feel a lot for. So you make that decision, you feel where you need to go in that Lover's card moment through what your heart is telling you and what you feel is right. And it's like that similar fire of the Chariot, of being pulled to a direction that you know is right for you. You make that choice and then you run for it. You go, because you are at a crossroads, and you charge. The Chariot is always about someone reaching a destination. So then you've got to think, what is the destination? The next card is the Justice. So Justice is receiving what you deserve. You know, it's the karma card. What you give, you get. The Justice card is never wasted energy. The Justice card is a really good card to get when you feel like you've done everything that you can. You truly feel like you've put in all the effort and energy, and now you've just got to wait. So if you get the Justice card when you're asking whether you're going to get good exam results, and you studied every night, you sacrificed stuff, you did everything that you could, you get the Justice card, it's basically saying to you, well, do you deserve it? And if you can really say yes, then the results will be good. He's going to get to a really good place, because the Justice card sits there and he says, I saw what you put in to reach this destination, so therefore here's what you're waiting for. And actually, on a really similar note to that, something I really like to do with certain cards, ask what comes out from the other side of this. So with a lot of cards, I can't ever stop there. You know, I can't say to someone, oh yeah, like you'll get to that place that you want to, like you'll go there, and it's like, well, where? Or like sometimes if I get the Tower card, for example, I'm like, well, what comes after that? It's all well and good saying, look, it's gonna be a bit shit, but we just have to go through these things. Like, I want to know where we arrive. So I like to pull a card to represent where he's headed. I'm like, so where's he going then? Let's say I do that now. I work with jumpers, so sometimes it can take quite a while to come out. And the card I've got is, the Fool card. So it's like basically all of the stuff that I mentioned in my last tarot video. I feel like we've come full circle now. So it's a new opportunity. It's somewhere they haven't yet experienced. It's refreshing. It's a bit risky and a bit of a bold move, because it's in an area that maybe they don't know a hell of a lot about, but they feel really excited by it. And it's a desire for something more joyful and closer to what they believe in this exact moment will make them happy. I love that we kind of ended this on the card that we sort of started with. But before I go, I will quickly say, although it is bad practice to say that any tarot card in reverse, so upside down, just means a negative version of that, or like something bad all the time. It doesn't always mean that, so don't think that. However, with the Chariot card in this circumstance, it does, mostly, because upside down it's passion, it is willpower, it is drive, but it's upside down. Like, it's not directed, it's a little bit everywhere, it's a bit chaotic, and it's usually representing you not being able to cleverly like utilize and adapt and form in a way that helps yourself within your situation. It's usually when the situation is too strong, it's too much, there's too many obstacles, they end up winning. So I see it like a fight between the two of you and your situation. The situation wins in this circumstance if you get this card in reverse. By the way, reversals can come up if you shuffle, like a jumper comes out and then it falls on the table upside down. I've had a lot of people ask me, how do cards come out upside down if the cards are upright? That usually happens when you do jumpers, like it will flop out. But then sometimes people like to purposely put reversals in the deck. So when they're shuffling, they'll like take a cut and then turn it upside down and put it back into the deck. And then they shuffle, take a chunk, go put it upside down, put it back in the deck, and then shuffle, and then that way you've got some reversals in there. I don't like reversals massively unless they're really needed. So the way I see it is, if it's necessary, it will flop out upside down. So if you're not reading about anything fun and silly that requires like chaotic energy, like how is my bumper car party gonna go, that'll be alright, because it's like, we're gonna crash into each other, it's gonna be fun and chaotic and energetic, and everyone's gonna be passionate. But if you're reading about like finances or new career or love interests, like, well, the passion's there, but where the hell is it going? It's not very organized, it's not very structured, it's a little bit chaotic. And also, if it's representing a person, like if you're putting this card as a personality card, I ask the deck to represent somebody in particular. Like a lot of the time I will ask the deck to represent someone that I know in my life, and if I was to get this for somebody, it would mean someone with a big ego, because I also think that the Chariot upside down can mean that you might be able to run people over if you want to get something bad enough, and it's usually someone who isn't considering other people or is quite cocky. It's like overconfident. So obviously we spoke about how this is about confidence, and it's great because it gets you places. But if it's chaotic confidence, it's just annoying and you're going to piss everybody off. Cards will call you out as well. Your intuition will call you out. So if you're reading for yourself or somebody else, but if you're reading for yourself and you see a card and you're like, the first thing that comes to your mind is maybe the negative parts of that card, it's your intuition calling you out. If I was to say, oh, you know, how is this date gonna go? And I got the Chariot upside down, I'd be like, maybe this is asking me to simmer it down. There will be times when you're reading for yourself and you will just be like, I can't get that part of the card out of my head. And I know deep within me that I have been that way recently and I should stop. Like the stuff that you read, people don't talk about this enough. The stuff that you read in tarot is already actually there. Like a lot of the stuff intuitively you are aware of and you know. The cards just need to pull that out of your gut and say, look, it's highlighted right in front of you. Listen to your brain, what it's trying to tell you, because you keep shutting it down. And lastly, on a more literal note, as we were talking about transport earlier and cars and stuff, if it's upside down, it can mean the opposite. So a delayed holiday, delayed travel, maybe your car not working, you're not able to literally transport from one place to another. We're done, I think. Let me know if there's a card in particular you'd like me to talk about in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts on certain cards that you struggle with, or ones that you would just be interested in hearing my perspective of. That is all. Thank you very much for joining, guys. I'm on social media such as Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. If you want to book a tarot reading with me, please do. I absolutely love reading people, so go on my tarot reading Instagram or tarot reading Facebook page. Both are down there. You can pop me a message, pop me a DM and say, hey, I'd love a reading, and we can book that for you. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you for my next video. Loads of love from my house to yours.